Have you ever heard of the Dyatlov Pass Incident? It's one of the most chilling and baffling mysteries of the 20th century. In the winter of 1959, 9 experienced hikers ventured into the Ural mountains of the Soviet Union. They were young, skilled, and full of life, but they never returned. What happened to them on that frozen mountain slope has puzzled investigators and armchair detectives for over 60 years. The group, led by Igor Dyatlov, was made up of students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnical Institute. They were all seasoned in long-distance ski trips and mountain expeditions. Their goal was to reach Otorten, a mountain deep in the northern Urals. They set off on their journey in late January, and everything seemed to be going according to plan. They documented their trek with diaries and photographs, capturing moments of camaraderie and the stark, beautiful landscape. Their last photos show them setting up camp on the eastern slope of a mountain, ominously named Kolat Shachol, which in the local Mansi language means dead mountain. They were expected to send a telegram from a village at the end of their route around February 12th. When no word came, their families grew concerned. A search party was dispatched on February 20th. What they found was beyond anyone's worst nightmare. On February 26th, the searchers discovered the hikers' tent. It was abandoned and badly damaged. Strangely, it had been sliced open from the inside. All the group's belongings, including their warm clothing and boots, were still inside. It was as if something had terrified them so much that they cut their way out of the tent and fled into the brutal, sub-zero wilderness, completely unprepared. Footprints leading away from the tent showed that the hikers, some barefoot or in socks, had walked calmly, side by side, down the slope towards a nearby forest. There was no sign of a struggle, no evidence of another group of people. What could possibly make 9 experienced mountaineers abandon their only shelter in the middle of a freezing night? The first 2 bodies were found about a mile away, under a large cedar tree at the edge of the woods. They were dressed only in their underwear and were shoeless. The remains of a small fire were nearby, and the branches on the cedar tree were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting someone had tried to climb it, perhaps to get a better view or escape from something. Over the next few days, 3 more bodies were discovered between the cedar tree and the camp. These were the bodies of Dyatlov, Zina Kolmogorova, and Rustem Slobodin. Their position suggested they were desperately trying to return to the tent. The initial autopsies concluded that all 5 had died of hypothermia. For Slobodin, they also noted a minor skull fracture, but it wasn't considered a fatal injury. At this point, it seemed like a tragic, but perhaps explainable, accident. Maybe they panicked and got lost in the dark. But the real mystery was just beginning. The search for the remaining 4 hikers lasted for more than 2 months. Their bodies were finally found in May after the snow began to melt. They were discovered in a ravine about 75 meters deeper into the woods from the cedar tree, buried under 4 meters of snow. And their injuries were horrific. Nicholas Thibault Brignol had suffered a major skull fracture. Lyudmila Dubinina and Semyon Zolotaryov had catastrophic chest fractures with multiple broken ribs. The force required to cause such damage was compared to that of a car crash. Yet bafflingly, there were no external signs of trauma, no bruises, no soft tissue damage. It was as if they had been crushed by an immense, unseen force. To make things even stranger, Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. The official investigation was stumped. The medical examiner concluded that the first 5 died of hypothermia, but the last 4 died from their severe internal injuries. The case was abruptly closed in May 1959, with the official verdict stating that the hikers died as a result of a compelling natural force. The files were classified and sent to a secret archive, fueling decades of speculation and conspiracy theories. What was this compelling natural force? The vague conclusion only created more questions. Let's look at some of the most popular theories. The first, and perhaps most plausible, is an avalanche. The idea is that a slab avalanche buried part of their tent, causing them to panic, cut their way out, and flee. The internal injuries could have been caused by the immense pressure of the snow. This theory gained more credibility in recent years, with computer modeling showing that a specific type of delayed slab avalanche was possible on that slope. However, critics point out inconsistencies. The footprints didn't look like they were from people fleeing in panic. The tent wasn't completely buried, and an avalanche doesn't explain why some tried to climb a tree or why Dubinina was missing soft tissues. Another leading theory involves infrasound. This is sound at a frequency so low humans can't hear it, but it can cause intense feelings of panic, dread, and nausea. Certain wind conditions, like wind moving over a mountain ridge, can create a phenomenon called a Kármán vortex street, which generates powerful infrasound. Could this have driven the hikers mad with irrational fear, causing them to flee their tent? It's a fascinating idea, but it's hard to prove and doesn't fully account for the severe physical injuries. Of course, no mystery is complete without more exotic theories. Some have suggested an attack by the local Mansi people, but investigators found no evidence of this. The Mansi were peaceful, and the nature of the injuries didn't align with a human attack. Then there are theories involving secret military weapons tests. The area was known for military activity, and some reports mention strange orange spheres or lights in the sky around that time. Could the hikers have stumbled upon something they weren't supposed to see and been eliminated? This could explain the severe internal injuries and the subsequent cover-up by the authorities. This theory is compelling, but lacks concrete evidence. And then there are the truly out-there explanations: UFOs, aliens, or even an encounter with a Russian Yeti. While these make for exciting stories, they remain firmly in the realm of speculation. The strange radioactivity found on some of the hikers' clothing is often cited as evidence for a military or extraterrestrial explanation. However, investigators later determined the levels were minor and could have been from a pre-existing source. In 2019, the Russian prosecutor's office reopened the case, aiming to finally bring closure. After extensive analysis and even on-site experiments, they concluded that an avalanche was the most likely cause. They proposed a scenario where a small avalanche forced the hikers out of the tent. Disoriented in the dark and a possible whiteout, they retreated to the tree line for shelter. Some died of cold while trying to start a fire. The others, attempting to build a snow cave in the ravine for protection, were then crushed by a second, more powerful avalanche, which would explain the severe internal injuries. This updated avalanche theory is the most scientifically grounded explanation we have. It accounts for the cut tent, the retreat to the woods, the hypothermia, and the crushing injuries. The missing soft tissue on Dubinina is explained by natural decomposition in a wet environment, as her body was found in a stream running through the ravine. Yet for many, this explanation still feels incomplete. It doesn't quite capture the sheer strangeness of the scene, the calm footprints, the attempt to climb a tree, the lack of external wounds. The mystery of Dyatlov Pass endures because it pushes the limits of our understanding. It's a story where the known facts are just as bizarre as the wildest theories. What do you think happened on that cold night on Dead Mountain? Was it a freak of nature, a secret military experiment, or something else entirely? The story of the 9 hikers is a haunting reminder of the power of nature and the enduring pull of the unknown. It's a puzzle that may never be fully solved, its pieces scattered across a frozen mountainside 60 years ago.